FNC's major three grand finals are totally over, but one duo left a memorable performance in people's mind, and it's clearly Swizzy and Putrig in Europe. And two reasons creates that performance such a craze for it. The first one is about the performance itself. After the day one, Swizzy and Putrig took already the first place with 60 points ahead of the second with 332 points. Only about the day 2 now, they've placed again first with no score of 321 points, and at the cumulative they ended the tournament 147 points ahead of Trolex and Teacher at the second place, which is totally insane. The second reason why this victory has been so impressive beside the performance, Swidzy is now the second player winning an FNCS Grand Final in two different regions, with Mars, previous PSG and TNA player who won OC and Analyst. Swidzy comes from Asian region, which was considered by many like the worst region, and is still managed to win. The landing spot during Grand Finals were here at the airplane's play, technically composed of 3 landmarks. Maybe we won't pay attention. We'll say their level. This has 3 landing spots. First interesting strategy here. If we have a look to the zone, the castle here in Switzerland's landing spot is really near the border, meaning they will not get the boss with the vaults and the card. So now we hear here that Swedze is rifting, is not going to go, well actually is going to go back here to get the red chest, but right after the rift is not going to go for the castle because he knows that he's just going to lose time because there is nothing interesting in the castle except the vault, so he's not going there, not losing any time, takes the zone information, and it's instantly going to try to take a better position for the stone search. In a few games, Swidzy prefers a position here for the surge because he knows that Anas and Strap are going to be able to get shot, same for Pulsai and Snazy. Giras is available depending on his rotate, and he can shoot to ping and carry here. So with this position he can have a lot of soul search. However, in a game like that where he cannot really go to the castle except for the soul surge, but as you see there, he prefers to go in a better position where he's going to be able to have more value by shooting to many other people. The fact is that if he's placing, because they know that if they're placing here, basically they will have a range for the surge, which is going to be near this one, meaning they have way less power. By placing here, they're not so close to the border, allowing them to rotate. Of course, they're more near the center of the zone, even if they're still considered as the edge, but they still have a better area for the surge. New zone appears. They still have a better position actually than if they were in the top one here. They can actually do a rotate. Either they can go fully in the center and reach such an area, or they can do another rotate that I'm going to show you right now. What do you think they did? First possibility, they went straight to the zone and aimed for the center. Second possibility, they went below bastion, then on Slavic shores to go for the dead side. Third possibility, they stayed during 10 hours in the storm to do a late rotate with mod and rift. Well, as you see here, they chose the third option. Why is it so interesting for them right now? Because they have the information about the catchy now, so they might have been able to go for it. Second thing which is interesting, the third zone is basically all the time the same here in the middle. As they've seen it pulled once like this one, the second one pulls there. You basically have the information that the third zone is going to pull on the same area and the same direction, meaning that it can directly use the rift, then go on bastion, get back a bit of the mages and things like that they got in the jungle, and now to rotate with the launch pad for example, and lose way less time and way less materials and position than if it did something different. Now they barely get into the zone and they're way chilling. They have no problem of the timing and they're really good in terms of the search. because they are really good in terms of search now because they traded in the jungle. Now they are reaching an area where they are coming in the back of someone who feels like he's going to be alone because during 2 zones there is no one in his back, so he couldn't really expect a team to be there. If you're having a look to the 4th zone, once again, it doesn't pull directly to the same direction, but barely the same. So here they have a great position to go on the dead side here, and you'll see that's what they've done. Now you see they're just going in the back of everyone, having the chilliest rotate ever they could have gone, plus the advantage of getting the storm before. Now as they're coming near the zone, they need to be careful to several things, mainly the other players. They do not really have the information right now if there are other players all around, so they need to be really careful to that. However, it seems not being too much a problem. This position in Mega City is extremely interesting. Let me tell you why. So this position is interesting about the zone. If the zone pulls fully on the north part, they have a totally free rotate, and they're basically free. If the zone pulls towards the mountain here, they have the advantage. If the zone pulls there, they have also the advantage. If the zone pulls in this area, in the bottom right hand corner, they are advantage because on all this part we can consider it as the dead side. So they can easily go for it as there is barely no one and they have the freest rotation in Mega City. However, at the moment they are facing the congested side area, which means basically they can have still a lot of surge because during a long time zone around 3 to 5 they got no damage at all. New zone appears, we are quite away from the zone, however, the position in Mega City allows them to have a great rotate. Of course, the first part of the rotate is going to be with the grids here. I don't know the full name. In the back of Edra and Dexa here. I mean, they're quite unlucky. That Edra could have built a bit more, but overall he couldn't really expect someone to come on the back and shoot him directly. A little detail that makes the difference, he decides, Switzy decides not to go on the same side as Hedra here while they could have had a fight. They decided to go one layer or basically more up so they can see better the other people, trade a bit of surge if needed, and mainly not to be slowed down in their rotation. Shooting again in 3, 2, 1 to Edra here. They have different possibility. They can go fight or they can just continue their rotation. At this moment, going for a fight is just the worst idea. They're going to be congested side, near the water. They need to avoid absolutely any matter. They need to avoid fighting here. That's a fight you don't know if that's going to be really long, and if it lengths more than 20 or 30 seconds, you're just going to be fucked both of your games. Instead, they decided to go for a rotation near the middle here. They basically are in the middle. They have a free rotate on this side. They have a few mountains and a few areas there if they want to rotate in. They can shoot to other people to might get a refresh or better kills. That is a really good position. And even if in a zone like that where they got really unlucky actually in terms of zones, I'm not sure we could have guessed this one, but they are still in the middle. That shouldn't be too hard thanks to all the differences of the layers. If they rotate there, except the teams from Thomas HG and Malibuke here, basically no one could really see them rotating. Having a lot of heights all around you is not always a bad idea. Here, of course, we don't take the zipline. Don't hesitate to make a break on the rotate when Putrik got pushed or when it basically got cracked. Of course, that's interesting for Malibuka here to try to come closer and engage the fights. Not too long time again because they're going to be in the way of rotation of all the other players. Continuing the rotate by Kenjutsu because you're going to have a better height and a better visibility. Of course, you also have the flag where you can grab a few healings. Most of them it's not taken, of course. Can always be interesting if you have a POI like that, which is on the dead side or really on the border, and you can, during your rotation, go for it. You can always take the flag. Now going fully on the dead side, I don't think that could have been the best Now going fully on the dead side, that is really the best thing to do in such a situation because everyone is going to be here, and if you're really close, really close to the mountain here, the other players are going to be way too high to shoot to you. Going for the water a little bit can be interesting. It avoids there. You don't have the information if Axels and Roman were the guy who were there, so of course, getting into the water is the safest. This rotation through the water also allows them not to use too much materials because usually at the moment they do not have so much materials. And it is probably their main mistake here. We have a look to the zone once again. God damn, it is going to be extremely hard to rotate for all the guys who are there. However, Switzy and Putri got their rotation fully on the dead side, so they're for the moment ahead of the zone. No one really can beam them except Kylie and Fastroki here during the rotation. If we are having a look to the map at the moment, we see that all the players who are here are quite struggling in terms of position. Maybe G30, Vasky, JK, Nathan, Asa, DKS, Mexen here will not struggle too much, but however, all the other guys are going to be struggling a lot to rotate. However, as well, while all the guys who decided to go for the full dead side here, Axel Swarbound, Kylan Fastraki, and Putri Switzy are going to be really good actually for the rotation to this little island. Kenny, Peshke, Fire Hunter, and Kirby are of course going to be holding, but it's going to be more worth to hold the guys who are there because they're going to be shot from 3 different angles, one here, and Swizzy and Putri who might be able also to shoot to them if they don't rotate too early. And this basically means that Switzy, Putrik, and all the guys from the dead side are going to be free on their rotation from zone 7. Here as you've seen, they got the best rotate ever. They're center of the zone here, center of the zone 7. So, meaning that their rotation to the zone 8 is going to be way easier. They have way good surge because they're in a good position too. They can hold the other people going for the dead side to claim their own rotation and control fully their gameplay. That is something which is probably the worst enemy from the good players and the performances in high level tournament. You absolutely need to control all the time your gameplay. If you're dependent to someone, for example, to rotate, you need to wait to the other guy to rotate before you. It is not a good position and you're not controlling fully your games. Here they have 2 things to do, shoot and think about the next rotation, and they already got a lot of time being on the dead side too. Now they're getting shots. Didn't get the kill on neither Malbuke or Shumasa HD. They have the splash, and here they know there is no one because they were the first on the island with Kenny and Peshka who were on the high. They know there is no one possible on this rotate. So basically they're once again free on the rotate thanks to this all dead side and thanks for this timing really interesting in the storm. Now they don't hesitate to make a break. Why? Because if we're having a look to their position to the zone, they basically don't really need to go further. If they want to go directly in, they're going to face all the people who are shooting, so now they want to be these people shooting to all the others. Now they see an opportunity. If they basically go into the zone directly, they didn't have the height, while here they can have a better position. Building in brick is really important. Half brick, half metal, so you can keep more metal. You have no wood at this moment. Well, you have 100 wood. That allows them to basically have more materials if they want to go for the high grounds to win the game. And at the moment, that's what they basically try to do, placing in the middle or here in this exact situation at the edge. They have white heel. Both of them, they have splash, they have a lot of materials, and they also have hard materials to go for the height. Even if they don't have a huge amount, they have hard materials. Now they see they're ahead of the zone. It is a really great position. They're having a look to Fire Hunter there. They might want to go for the high. Here you see there is, so basically Fire Hunter started to go on the height. They want to take the advance of the zone. This is basically their signature move, going in zone, start topping in the zone so they can be sure to get some refresh. They're having med mist, they're having more splash, they're having more materials. This is something they did during a lot of games, using some white hill to take the advance there. Well, didn't pay a lot of attention, that wasn't their build. Need to be extremely careful in such a situation. At the moment that is really critical. They didn't get a lot of points in this game, so they know they can't really allow themselves to die here. They went on a slightly higher layer here, and from this moment, every zone they're going to try to go a bit higher. Use of course a little bit of materials. Now the zone pulls back on their builds. They are really good in terms of luck for the moving zones. All the time as they got a good position, they have one thing to do: both wait with the shotgun up, and then they can have a free rotate when they see that there is literally no one who can come back. Here they just fully tapped ahead of the zone, used a lot of materials to cut the rotation from DKS and Vox here. That allows them to have a great refresh, and they've seen they tapped a lot. They took a lot of advance to the zone. They've seen someone, I guess Patrick gave the information that someone is coming. Switzy directly tried to cut that rotation, and in such a lobbies where it is pretty laggy, DKS and Vox are really surprised, and we have basically 1 or 2 seconds to clean up the wall. Fine. That's basically what they've done, and they got pretty lucky in terms of refreshes with, of course, slub and slubs. Well, actually I say that they got pretty lucky on the refresh. It was not. They chose basically the parts of the map where they want to get their refresh from. Now they have 10,000 of white heal. Bodging only have a splash, only have a slurp, my bad. But Swidzy has lot of splashes. Now they're trying to go for double angles, while Swidzy is just going directly on to shoot to them first of all. The first thing that Swidzy is going to do is shoot to Fire Hunter and Kirby. Patrick is not even going to shoot and directly go for the height, in the case where someone have seen them. Now he's just going to fully focus on the height, and first thing when they have the height, they fully focus Kirby and Fire Hunter, even if they're not a problem anymore for the height. They went really down, but we want absolutely them to be dead at the moment. They probably have still materials because they got on the height still at this moment, so they can be the main problem here. Of course, going down seems to be way too obvious. They're way too high. Zone pulls back. They have quite a lot of luck actually in this zone on movings. But compared to all the zone that they got in the mid game, I think is pretty balanced. Now double spreading, I think they could have marked actually before shooting to people. Now they're in 2v1, they're just going to full safe it. They know where Totem Fire Hunter is. Now they are actually having the best stuff, both of them. Patrick is getting a little bit down closer to Fire Hunter. The goal is to put low pressure. All the refreshes and all the stuffs are in the low ground. If Fire Hunter is claiming totally the low ground, he has a lot of chance to find a stuff. It's why Patrick has the goal in this game to be really close and put low pressure to him, while Switzy is just up, spreading and basically making sure and being safer.